Hi, I'm Leo, and this is
Clayton. Clayton Smales, my name is.
Where are you from?
I'm from Sydney, in Australia.
Wow. So what brings you to Taiwan this time?
So my partner Kathleen, she's a journalist with the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and she is here on a 12-month posting, where she will be the East Asia correspondent, working for the ABC in Australia and covering this area for news events. So I'm accompanying her for the 12 months.
So do you feel excited? Is this your first time coming to Taiwan?
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. We arrived here 5 weeks ago, and we stayed in an Airbnb for 2 weeks, and then just finding my way around the city now, and I'm enjoying living in a new place, somewhere very different. I've never lived overseas before, so I'm getting used to the lifestyle here in Taipei. Yeah,
Wow.
It's great.
Do you have any maybe cultural shock here?
I think probably, and it's a nice shock, was that everyone here is a bit more polite. In Sydney, sometimes people maybe push in front of you in the lineup, and sometimes maybe not use their manners sometimes. So everyone here is very polite, and just the little things I'm finding are a little bit different, like different things that you buy at the shops. I'm finding everyone gives you a receipt here.
Yeah, it's like
even for a little purchase, they still give you the paper, and in Australia that doesn't really happen.
Because the receipt is like a lottery.
Yes, I learned that. Yeah, so they want you to play the
After
lottery.
2 months, you can maybe do a lottery.
Yeah. I only found that out after I got here. But things I noticed is that the food is most of the time it's less expensive in Taipei than in Sydney.
So Sydney is like a world famous international city. So how much is the maybe average living cost there?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll try and convert it into new Taiwan dollars for your viewers. But so we pay rent in Sydney at the moment would be the equivalent of about 8,000 new Taiwan dollars per week for rent, and food is probably 20% more expensive for average food items. For instance, a coffee, this costs $3.50 Australian dollars, and in Sydney it would cost $5 Australian. So there's a slight increase in the cost for things like coffee and food, and I'm finding in Taiwan that there's lots of options for very inexpensive lunch, like very inexpensive lunch, and you don't get that in Sydney. So I think Sydney is more expensive by about 20% overall.
How is it living in Sydney? Because there are so many people, maybe they do working holiday in Australia, so you probably met people from all over the world in Sydney.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good question, because in Sydney is very big and very spread out. Taipei is very compact, and everyone lives, high rise. But in Sydney, sometimes they live spread out, and there's different areas of Sydney that has different cultural groups. So, there's an area where there's lots of Indian people, there's an area where there's lots of Lebanese people, there's an area where there's lots of people from China. So, one of my jobs that I had before I came here, I was working for a company that helped people with disabilities, and I was the only, on my staff with my co-workers, I was the only Caucasian person, only Westerner. There was people from China, people from Africa, people from India, people from Nepal, people from Philippines. So it was very multicultural. Yeah, and Sydney is a very multicultural city. Yeah.
Wow. But how did you learn from working with all international people?
It was good. It was a good experience, because I mean you get to learn a little bit about their culture as well. And the place where we worked, once a year we used to have a lunch, and then everybody would bring a dish from their particular,
to share different cultures.
Yeah, to share for food from their different cultures. Yeah, so it was very good. I think Taipei is a very nice city because they have lots of parks and lots of opportunities for exercise and to get outside. And one of the things that I found different in terms of my exercise and running was in Australia, most people do their running and exercise in the morning before work. But in Taipei, most people do it at night after work. So I've had to adjust my timing so I can meet people at night and go running at night. So that's not very common in Australia.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found that interesting.
Oh, so maybe most of Westerners prefer to do exercise before their work? Or?
I think so. Yeah. We have a culture. We have a culture there of getting up really early for exercise and then going for a coffee and then going to work. I found here there's a very strong coffee culture in Taipei, but it's a little bit different. In Australia, the coffee shops open, the cafes open at maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then they probably shut at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But in Taipei, they open at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock,
yes.
and they stay open until 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So in Australia, people don't really drink coffee at night, but in Taipei, they do.
Yeah.
So that was a different cultural thing that I noticed as well. The different time that people do activities. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also depends on the working hours.
Yes.
Probably in Taiwan it's maybe longer. So
I think so. Yeah. The Australia normal working hours are normally 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. depending on the job you have. And I think maybe Taiwan maybe 9 a.m. 6 p.m. And here the shops stay open later as well. In Australia, only one night a week the shops open late at night, but on a Thursday. But in Taiwan, the shops are open at night all the time.
Oh.
And one other thing about the difference is all the 7-Eleven here and the Family Marts. They're everywhere. We only have 7-Eleven sometimes in Australia, and in Australia the 7-Eleven they're also petrol stations as well, where you get petrol for your car. But here it's just food and all the other things. Yeah.
So the convenience store in Australia, is it 24 hours?
Most of them are. Yeah, we have a brand of convenience store called Night Owl, and they are 24 hours, and then other ones are mostly 24 hours as well, but not as common as the 7-Eleven and the Family Mart here, because I mean you have to walk one block and you see a new one.
Yeah, but in Taiwan, like every corner, you can see couples of convenience.
Yeah. And I think in Taiwan, those convenience stores, they offer a lot more services. Like you can do printing for your paper, you can post parcels.
And you can also
pay
get
bills.
online, like delivery.
Online delivery. You can pay your tax. I think you can pay your tax as well, which is very unusual. That we don't have that in Australia. You have to go to a separate person for that. So I'm really enjoying taking the time to look at the little differences between living, in Australia and living here, and I'm finding them very interesting. Yeah.